Hello, family. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy E, the Dividend Passport Bro, back with another video. Guys, today we do our Edwin Talk video, and there's something that came across my timeline that I wanted to talk about, and I've seen this every single day, almost every single day. Every time I get on the computer, the news, or whatever, I see it. Okay, and you know what? I thank God every single day for giving me the opportunity to learn the skills that I've learned as far as my career, for giving me the opportunity to learn how to invest, especially dividend investing. Because if it wasn't for that, I won't be in my current situation, right? I probably would have been working in the hospital somewhere as a medical technologist. And for people who don't know what that is, somebody working in the lab. But everything happened for a reason, and sometimes when certain things happen, I tend to just let it go because life is too short, and you never know what any little thing can lead you, what direction it's going to lead you to. Okay, so yesterday we made the video about our income that came into the portfolio. We generated over 20 some $1,000 so far this month. And we still got a couple more $100 coming into the portfolio, but it's not going to be added to this month. It'll be added to next month income when we do our calculation for the next week. So we're going to deal with that. But guys, it is amazing to be in the situation we are in right now. Because if you're in the situation, that means you really don't have the problem that a lot of people have right now in the United States. And I know you guys would be like, but Edwin, what are you talking about? So I stumbled onto this video, right? People cannot afford to pay for food, for groceries. Guys, groceries. Okay? Now, listen to this video before I stopped it. Is amazing, right? I'm gonna let you guys get into this.
Insurance, gas, food, electricity, health insurance, all these day-to-day expenses. How are people making it? You do the math and you come back and tell me what the numbers look like for you. Because a person can make $30 an hour and is going to struggle. I can only imagine making $15 an hour. You cannot live on that. No, you cannot. You cannot convince me otherwise. You cannot live on 15 or $30 an hour, or you're gonna stay broke. Convince me different.
Hi guys. So pretty much you were about to say, convince me, right, on that. Now, I don't have the pro account, so of course you guys will get commercials. I have issues with my app that we usually use to bring down these programs. But I just want to get you guys that, okay? And from what he was saying, right, $15 an hour, right? You know what? Let me bring up my calculator, okay? $15 an hour, okay? So you're making $15 an hour, let's say times 40 hours a week, that's $600 a week. Okay. Some weeks have, uh, some months have 4 weeks, and some months is a five week payday. Okay. So if you do that, if we do the calculation, right, and says, okay, so as I was saying, right, 40 $50 an hour times 40 hours a week, that's give you $600 per week. That's before taxes, okay? So we're just doing a basic calculation. Now, all right, $600 a week. let's say if you're a family of four, maybe the wife works, maybe she makes about the same. So let's say they're making $1,200 coming into the house a week. But we're going to do with this one income, okay? Times, right? 52. That's $31,000. So that's 52 weeks in the year, right? So you get $31,200. Now, if you're making this money in the U.S., I made a video about this, probably on my other channel, right? Retire in Rome. I think it was yesterday. 31,000 in America, you're poor. You are poor. Okay, you are poor because healthcare coming out of that. If you, and not a lot of companies do free healthcare. My company that I work for does free healthcare. You have to pay for your kids. I think it's free, or they pay half of it, something like that. But you have to pay for your children, which I think at the end of the end of the month, I'm probably spending like $200 some for the kids. All right, for the two kids, young kids, right, 19-year-old and 2.5-year-old. Right, I'm spending over $200 plus. No, I think it's like $400 some dollars. I take that back, a month. Okay, $400 some dollars a month for healthcare, and mine's free. My kids, I have to pay for them, so it's like 200 something a paycheck, something like that, right? So, in my case, right, if I was making this amount of money just for healthcare alone, right, the money's gone, right? That's 20 some thousand dollars a year is gone right there. So we can't even talk about that. But somebody that's making this kind of money in the US is struggling. That's why I plead to you guys every day, guys, invest in your future. Invest in your future. Because you're not doing it for me. You are not doing it for me. You're doing it for yourself.
I'm going to have to go home and start selling off my furniture to be able to live the rest of the month. I mean, that's just, it's unbelievable.
Okay? She gotta go sell her furniture in the house to be able to buy food. I don't even know the rest of the story. We don't even have to listen to it. This is quite depressing, guys. This is depressing. Can you imagine if that could be your sister? That could be your mom. That could be your auntie. That could be your cousin. That could be your grandma. Right? I don't know. I don't. This is my first time seeing this video, so I don't know what her financial situation is. I have no idea. But it is depressing. So if you don't plan now, and these people, that lady probably my age, and maybe probably younger than me. Okay? This is not financial advice, guys. Okay, I'm 52. And I make video about my portfolio and my portfolio alone. So do not take this as financial advice. Okay? Our new subscriber, I appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel. The old people that been here for day one, I appreciate you guys. You guys know I love you guys. Okay? But, guys, if you had to work, right? If you had to go to a 9 to 5, you had to buy gas for your car, depending on the kind of car you got, depending on how far you have to drive. That money is coming out of that $600 every week, and that's not including taxes, right? What's taxes? 20%, or that may be 25%, 21%. You know, that's crazy. Okay, guys. So, I mean, this is crazy. All right, this is crazy. So let's try to keep the number even, right? So if you're making $30,000 a year, the tax liability is will be around $2,500 for Social Security and Medicare, um, and it depends on the state. And that's just a small smidget of the actual taxes. Okay, then the state tax, there's other taxes that is added to the paycheck. Now, for me, I can't tell you the last time I look at my paycheck, right? Because I expect a certain amount of money to go to my account every month, every paycheck. So when that amount shows on my check, that's it. Now, if they make a mistake on my paycheck at the end of the year, when I actually go to do my taxes, I can say, "Oh, they made a mistake." I can go back; they will correct it because I don't have to worry about that. But for me to say, "Oh, how some people go, oh, they messed up my check this week. My check is not right." I don't want to say that now it didn't happen to me, but that's something I never had to deal with, right? Um, because I'm a salary employee. I don't work hourly. But all of this, guys, if you are living outside of the U.S., if you can afford to get a job, or if you're on Social Security or whatever, that you can generate even $1,000 to $2,000 a month in income, man, you're living an amazing life. Okay, you'll be living an amazing life. So I know it's depressing on what is going on and how people are struggling, but I mean, what can we do? We can complain, yes, but I mean, like I said, I'm 52 years old now. For as far as I can remember, right? The last what 35 years, stuff been the same. It just on different levels, right? You pay attention to stuff as it affects you, or as it affects somebody else around you, or as you see on the interweb how it affect other people, and you see those things, and you're like, man, this is crazy. But if you're not at that level, right, to where you're having that issue, or your friends around you not having that kind of problem, you don't understand that. That's why I come on here every day and make videos, guys. Invest in your future. Invest in your future. Because even if it's $1,000 a month, can you imagine if you had an investment that was just generating you $1,000 a month, and you having issues living in the US? It's easy for you to pack your stuff and say, you know what, boom, we gone. We out. We out. Right? We out. I was watching another content creator was saying, save your what she said, save how to save your $5,000 so you can get out. And I'm like, $5,000 to get out. So what did you do after that? Right? I didn't watch the rest of the video because it was kind of, you were all over the place, right? Start working out. Your health is important. I would never tell somebody to start working out to save money. I would never do that. I don't think that's a good advice. Yeah, cut out the the different things you have, subscriptions you have, TVs, all that other crap. Yeah, but your health for what, $20 a month in the gym? I would never tell somebody to cut that out. You know, but people do that. But I'm saying, let's say if you say I got 5 grand, yeah, $5,000. After, if you, let's say you have to move to Colombia on $5,000, depending on your lifestyle, depending on how many people you have, I mean, you can get a decent apartment in different places, right? If you know people, locals, right, that would be around $300 to $500 a month. You might have AC, you might not, but $300 to $500 a month, and not in the would not be in the touristy area, like tourists when the tourists go. No, that would be outside the tourist area. Now, tourist area, you might get something for $1,000 to $1,500 a month. That might be furnished and have all that stuff in there. You just have to pay for your light, water, gas, and internet, right? But that's about that. But $5,000, yeah, $5,000 might get you through your first 3 months. Yeah, fine. You fine for 3 months. You have a place to live. You can do what you need to do, work out your immigration status, all that stuff if you haven't done it before you left. But in 3 months, after 3 months, the money gone. Now what you gonna do? How do you generate more income to be able to sustain yourself, right? Sustain yourself. Now, like if you like me that have kids that's in university, that's baby, how do you take care of them with the $5,000? So you need to have a job, or you need to have or a source of income. As I didn't finish the video, so I don't know. So what I'm telling you is, if you want to get out, right? If you want to get out, you need to have a mixture of extreme high yield, mid yield, and lower yield. Okay, that's what you need. Now, I believe if you have a portfolio around 75 to $100,000, that should be enough for you to be able to live. That portfolio should generate anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 a month, $100,000, right? So if you have $100,000 that you can invest, right, in the mixtures of different things, right, with a mixture of high yield, low yield, mid yield, and extreme high yield. If you watch my content all the time, you know when I talk about extreme high yield, that's like the yield match products, that are paying 100-something% yield, but it's very risky, right? So you want to be able to diversify your portfolio. But if you have 100K, I think you can be fine, because if you have 100K that's generating you $3 or $4, $5,000 a month, being a risky portfolio, you have $3,000 that you can invest, or even more, depending on your lifestyle. For me, I don't live an expensive lifestyle. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I'm not out in the clubs. I'm not trying to impress nobody. I live a basic lifestyle. I live in a nice neighborhood, yes, in Colombia. I think this place is a Stratus 3 or Stratus 4, right? Compared to my other property in Cartagena, which is in Stratus 5 or Stratus 6 neighborhood. So there's a big contrast. So stuff costs more there than it would cost here. But in more chill, to where I can spend maybe $100 at the farmer's market every month to feed my family of 6, right? I can't feed my family of 6 in the US on $100. Now, of course, I will still have to go to the supermarket and buy other things for the month. That might be around $250. So if you're looking at the whole cost, right, we might be spending $500 a month on groceries, supplies, toiletry, medicine, different things every single month. So it's that quality of life, right? And one thing that I've that I've learned since getting my portfolio to the point where it's generating over $20,000 a month is not worry about money. Of course, we all worry about money, but not on the same level, right? Like, oh, I got to pay something tomorrow or whatever. No, I'm not worried about that. Okay, I'm worried about like future plans that I'm trying to do. How do I get this in place? Because I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to build this business, or I'm trying to buy land, or I'm trying to do those kind of. I'm worried about things that way ahead. I don't even need to be worried about, but because that's the kind of person I am, that's the things I think about. Because I already have that infrastructure in place now, that money making machine that generates funds for me and my family every single month, every single day, every single week. Income is coming in. So when I see people say, "Oh, I don't have this, I don't have that," yes, I've worked a $5 an hour job before. Yes, I have 550 back in Little Rock, Arkansas. Um, I worked those jobs working at the milk factory in the freezer, and I don't like cold like that. Working in the freezer, I work till lunch, and then I left. I didn't come back because you work through the agency. They just send you to different jobs. And this one day they call you, you got a job. Woo, yes, let's go. Go make some money. They send me to the milk factory, and they have me in the freezer. I'm African. They have me in the freezer. Okay. And they're like, bring coat. I got a little coat, but that's not enough. I am my teeth shaking. They're like, we gotta go on smoke break. Okay, yeah, let's go on smoke. I don't even smoke. We go on a smoke break because I am so freaking cold. And we went to lunch. I made it to lunch. I worked 4 hours, whatever it was, and I went to lunch and I left. I called the people. I'm like, they got me in the freezer. I don't like the cold like that. $5.25 an hour. I think back then was $5 or three something, whatever it was. The minimum wage was back 30 some years ago. Okay. So I've been there, guys. I've been there. Working in a nursing home, taking care of old people. And even back then I had three jobs. I had three jobs, three nursing home jobs. Plus I was in the university and I had a young wife. So what's your excuse? Okay. What's your excuse? I had a job that I was working. I was going to school after I got married. I was going to go to school part time, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays, all day I was in school. So I was taking full time. I was taking 4 hours. I mean, 4 classes, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I was in the school pretty much from morning to about three something on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I work my first job because when I start school, they were like, okay, you can go to school on the day you work 3 days a week. So I was like part-time working there, part-time. I had another job that I worked night shift, right? So when I leave that job, I go across the street to another nursing home that I will work till 11 o'clock at night, right? So I work it 5 days a week. Then I had another job Saturday and Sunday, 12-hour shifts, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So I was working three jobs, plus I was in college taking 12 hours. Now I'm a pre-med major and have a young wife. Of course, the marriage didn't last because I was working too much. My wife was out doing whatever she was doing. But at some point, I was mad at her. But at some point, when I think back at it now, like, we are taught to provide for our family. So I was out there trying to provide for my family, working my butt off, right? Riding the bus to school while my wife was driving the car. Guys, this is some of the stuff I've been through in my life, So when I see people complaining about, oh, this is so much, whatever, I've done it. Okay, working in a dinner playhouse restaurant as the bus boy. Okay, I think back then we were making $4.25 an hour, whatever it was. The only good thing about that job, I used to get tips. Okay, I used to get tips, right? And I think I was probably like 19. That was before I got married. Probably like 18, 19 years old. Right before I got out of high school. After I got out of high school, somewhere between that time. A friend of ours that we knew, he hooked us up with a job. And me and my brothers, three of us, they were working in the kitchen. I was busting tables. It's a dinner playhouse in Leroy. Okay. So I was married then. Yeah, matter of fact, I was married back then too. Yes, because I used to ride my bicycle, right? I used to ride my bicycle. You got this for me? I used to ride my bicycle. I used to go to school, right? That was before I started working three jobs. I used to go to school, and then I would go to the dinner playhouse after school to work. But I would ride my bicycle to work, and my wife had the car because the car was in her name. But of course, I was taking care of all the responsibilities. Wasn't even mine. But she would drive the car to school on the days we went to school together. We had classes together. We would go to school together. Because after I left my mama's house and moved in with my wife would move into our own apartment, I didn't have the cars when my brother had. We all had a car that we're using. So I didn't have that car anymore. So me and my wife and my bicycle. And that was it. And I did that for a year or so, right? Before I got, and when one of my brothers left and went to work in a nursing home, and he's like, man, they're paying more money over here. At the time, maybe they were paying $3 more than what we were getting paid. And I was like, okay. He was like, man, I got two jobs. I'm making $16 an hour. I was like, okay, cool. So I left there and went there, right? Followed my brother, my oldest one. It was three of us, the oldest one. My other brother worked in the university, so he worked at a school in the missions office, and then he worked in the dinner playhouse while he was in college, right? So me now, I'm like, okay, shoot, my brother making $16 an hour. I'm gonna go make $16 an hour, but I'm gonna do that times three plus go to school. So I was working three jobs. I was making back then, I was making good money, like call it making good money. But I lost my family in the process, right? Now thinking back at it, probably was the best thing that happened to me because I probably wouldn't be in the position I'm in now if things had worked out and I stayed in that, trajectory that I was in. So guys, there's so much story behind this success that I have now that people don't know about. They're like, oh man, you got life easy. They don't know how hard you had to work to get to where you are. Right? Yes, I come from a successful family, but when you get ran out of your own country and have nothing left and you have to start from scratch, you're like everybody else. Right? My siblings, they went to school, right? My mom paid the tuition to school. But when I went to school, I had to pay my own way because things change. Different concepts, different situations, different circumstances. Okay? So when I see people saying they can't do this because they can't do that, and they're healthy and they can go work, guys, my mama passed away at 82 years old. And even though she was 80 something years old and on retired, they retired her from work. She was on Social Security getting nothing, right? A little bit of money. Plus what we used to do for her and make sure she got everything she needed. That lady would still go out, right? Applying for jobs, trying to work at 82 years old. Go, you said, Mama, why are you doing all this stuff? Why are you embarrassing us? She was like, man, I don't want your wife getting mad at you because you think you're spending money on me. I don't need to depend on anybody. So that's the same kind of energy and spirit all of us have, me and my siblings. We might not get along for certain reasons or have, miscommunication or issues, family issues, whatever we have. But every last one of us, we're very hard working set of people. So when I see people saying, oh man, I can't do this because I can't feed my family, whatever. Eat rice and beans like Dave Ramsey says. Rice and beans not bad. You put some salt, some pepper in there. You can even add some pork, some pig feet in there. You guys don't eat pig feet. Rich people don't eat pig feet, right? But out here, I can get a pig feet for $1. A whole pig feet. They would cut it up for you nicely, in the machine. I get a whole oxtail, the whole tail, oxtail, out here, right? It's like what? Less than $10 some days, depending on how big it is, maybe $20. Or sometimes $25, $30 for the whole oxtail, and in the US I maybe get 5 or 6 of those pieces for $30. So it's like 3 times the price. But guys, I'm saying this, all of this to say this. You have to think about your future. No matter how young or how old you are. Because at some point, you know, we get kicked out of the workforce. Yes, I'm 52 years old. At some point, there's going to be somebody that's more younger, more energetic, more think outside the box type of person that might get my job. Okay, do I cry about it? No. I mean, I can say if I want to work, continue to work, look for another job, take a pay cut, because you don't need a lot of money to live the life that I live now. I live a rich man life on a smaller scale, right? I have properties in Colombia, I have properties in the US, right? And the property I had in the Dominican Republic is gone. I was going to get a new property, but of course that didn't work out because of everything that's going on that I changed my mind about that. So, I mean, different things happen. But, I can stay, I'm going to stay in Colombia for 2 months or 2 weeks or whatever and go back to the US or go wherever I want to go because I have the choices, I have the option because I planted the seed to where my life is different to where I can do pretty much what I want to do when it comes to where I want to be and where I go. I'm depending on the stock market, right? Yes, I am depending on the stock market. That's what I'm depending on. But if the stock market go boom, there's gonna be a lot more poor people than me. Plus, I have stuff in place that I will need a lot more money to survive. That's what I tell you guys every day, guys. Invest in your future. Invest in your future. Invest in your future. And these videos, I guess people are just kind of numb to these videos now. That it really doesn't affect them emotionally or provoke, a thought process there. I don't know. But guys, I don't want to yap too much. I don't be talking too much. I get carried away. I already talking enough already. But you guys have an amazing, amazing day, right? Um, and we're gonna do this again tomorrow. The market open tomorrow. We're gonna see how much more money, funds, or whatever we generate in our portfolio to help us give us that best life. Okay, guys. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Invest in your future. There's nobody else gonna do it for you. You don't want to be like these folks out here complaining. And I understand sometimes if you're making a little bit of money, it's hard. It is hard to take money to invest. But we invest for our future. We invest for times like these when you can afford it, right? So you have something to fall back on. So you struggle now. So when you are older, you can live your best life with less stress. And with that, you have the opportunity to go where you want to go. Okay, guys? So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace out.